Hello and welcome back, guys, and if you're new here, thanks for clicking on the button and checking this video out. This one's a little bit different for me, and I've got a few items on me I don't hardly ever carry if I'm wild camping, but that'll all become apparent in a moment. But you can see these tracks behind me. They wind along a big hillside and then drop down into a valley, and when we get there we'll have a little chat and start making a plan of action from there. Till then, I'll keep a little bit of it under my hat. So I'm walking through a forest of rhododendrons, and as beautiful as it is, it's obviously not native, but it is absolutely alive. The air is buzzing. Bees, all insects that are pollinators, they're just loving all these rhododendron bushes. And there is a real nice smell walking through it. But yeah, you can definitely hear all the buzzing of the bees, and it really does make that huge bzzz sound. And when you go through some of them, you get like a cloud of insects just, you know, burst out of all the flower heads. Now that really would be some climb to push up through all that to get to the top of that tour. Right then, guys, I'm going to actually get myself a little bit more stealthy now. Up on the tour, just coming down that side there, the closest side to this tree here, if I bring you around there, I did see somebody with a backpack themselves, but they're heading off in a totally different direction. So there is, and that what I'm looking at is possibly 3/4 of a mile away. But I've got here, and where I'm going, I'm dropping down into a re-entrant, and it's almost like a mini gorge. So I have informed my wife where I'm roughly at, you know, a little bit of health and safety there, or afterthought, but I'm heading down there. And my bright blue rucksack cover, I've got to take that off, and I'm just going to put something over me a little bit more in keeping with the woodland I'm going into, just to give me my best chance I don't get spotted as I descend down in it, and eyes above me see dirty great masses of blue moving between the shadows of the trees. So yeah, let's get this done. Right, I've just took one quick look up the track and down the track. There's nobody coming. I've made sure of that, and I've been listening out. But this track does have views all the way down to where I'm going. Now, once you get into the trees, you can be lost from vision, but anything moving with a lot of colour, you know, you will get seen. And you know I've got my wetsuit hanging out the back of my Bergen, but it's black, and like I say, if I hunker down, and with the time of day, the shadows, you know, I'm going to disappear pretty quick as I descend down into this gorge. And let's get to it. It's very steep, it's slippery, all the bluebells, they've died off, and that's why all those leaves are lying over, which is convenient because you're not worrying about damaging the up and coming plants, but The issue we do have is the fact they're all slippery. I don't know what I'm seeing down there, so I'm going to just take it a little bit more cautious. Yeah, I've just looked up. You really have to, because the trees interlock, you know, the line of sight, you become extremely difficult to see the further you go down. And obviously you go over the brow and you descend behind it. So I'm treading carefully, and I'm being careful because there's a lot of loose vegetation and I don't really want to slip over. It'd be difficult to get back up. But I'm coming down to the area I want to get to. I'm being cautious because I thought I spotted, to be honest with you, a tent, but it's not. It's a boulder with a load of moss on it. Yeah, so I'm going to get myself a little bit better angled here. If I sound like I'm a little bit nervous, I am, because I really don't want to get, it took a lot of effort to get here, and I don't want to be asked to move on. So till I'm 100% sure of what I'm doing here, it's just a case I'm playing it safe. And this is the first glimpse of what I've come for. It's of course a high river, and you can see it's coming down over the boulders with a fair bit of speed and urgency there. Obviously it's not rapids, but you can see it's moving quite fast due to the white water. And then we have big pools. Right, I'm actually hoping I can set my tarp up in here. I've got plenty of cover. I've got pools of water right in front of me. Here, here, and up there. Well, I've ditched my Bergen and coat, and I'm just going to go for a little bit of a, you know, scout out this little bit of a location here. I'm going to say this, and I'm only going to say it once. Obviously, it doesn't take much figuring out what I'm doing here. Do not follow what I'm doing. This is potentially dangerous. Well, it is dangerous. Don't follow what I'm here for, what I'm going to be doing here. I'm just bringing you along for entertainment's sake. But I'm wild camping, and that's possibly my main priority really. It's the wrong time of day at the minute, so by the time I set up camp, I don't know if I'm going to get a dip, but I'm just going to do a very quick scout out of this area. Well, that was pretty exhilarating, but it's left me with a dilemma. I was hoping to actually get my camp set up by the actual waterfall and the actual little you know, pool, but there's just too many trees that look like they're bone dry. They've taken on a lot of water due to the rain we had last night, and if we have any more, they might soak up enough rain for the wood to become heavy, and because it's degraded, snap off. And there's a lot of evidence of it all the way around me here, and I just don't want to take the risk. I mean, you know, I know you're going to say that's a bit stupid after I've gone into, you know, done some wild swimming, but I'll have a little chat about that later on anyway. But you know what I mean, I am cautious, believe it or not, and I do weigh up all the risks. So, you know, after all, I've got to 53 years old. But you know, in more seriousness, this really isn't offering much, so I'm going to look for a better place to put up my camp. So I'll catch you guys then. Right then guys, I found a little quiet spot out of that first piece of woodland. We dropped down into that gorge, but it's a lovely piece of woodland. It's a very narrow slither that runs up between two pretty much unused paddocks, and the paddocks are covered in ferns. You know, that I don't think they even see livestock that often. But the ground I'm on is just total, it's like a boulder field here. I'll let you have a look, and I'm going to have to find myself a little bit of a sweet spot in between the boulders. So here I am, and I'm going to use this one here because I'm cooking with fire. I'm going to clear that all off, and I do have a obviously big base to put it on. I do have a heat shield that goes underneath it, and I'll be extremely careful, but it's a pretty damp area, to be honest with you. And as you can see, as I sweep around, every one of those little lumps and bumps is a boulder covered in grass and moss. So yeah, pickings are slim for a pitch, but I'm going to run a line from that tree to that tree, which is quite a distance actually, and I'll set my tarp rolling down here, and I'll just find somewhere to bed down here. It'll work. Well, there is some blue skies, but it was forecast to rain again tonight, so I've put my tarp up in a configuration that's going to give me some shelter. I don't think it's going to be torrential, it'll just be showers, but we have blue skies. Few insects, but this is my tarp configuration, pretty basic. Basically a big guideline, and it's threaded through the loops to provide some rigidity, and I've just got bungee straps linking to some loops I've created just to give it tension. Then it's pegged to the floor, and where there's a big rock, I've just put a bungee strap there, pulled it out, put two pegs in the ground, and it's solid. So this is my kind of home for tonight, but I've got to get my area over there sorted and get some food and drink on the go, because time must be going by. I don't even know what time it is now. Yeah, I suppose really I've got to reiterate that what I did is that wild swimming. You know, you should never follow my lead. It was extremely dangerous if you didn't know what you was doing. I knew I had to stay away from the main channel where the water was the current was taking it over the boulders. So that's why I stayed in that little bit of an area. I didn't even go past that submerged tree branch, Quite simply because you never know with submerged obstacles whether you could get hung up. So it may have looked a little bit silly just basically swimming around that little area, but that's all I needed. It felt nice, and I've wanted to do that at that particular pool since last year. So I've got that little tick in the box. But I can't stress enough, do not do anything that you've seen me do here. You know, quite simply, this is simply entertainment. And I would like to stress I do have 30 years water experience, but that's never a guarantee. So yeah, I've got my fire, and yet again, due to the fact it being dry, I've got a windbreak. I'm using my wetsuit and that. Don't worry, mate, it's not close enough it's going to melt. It's just a windbreak. I've taken all the moss and all debris off this stone. I've got my stand there, which is allowing air to move underneath, so no heat is transferring to the stone. You know, I'm doing everything I can to be safe, and that's all the point of everything I'm saying here. Whatever you see me do, don't copy it, but I would like just to add, I do things with a little bit of thought, and I try to mitigate any dangers that may pose to myself or anybody or anything around me. So let's just take a little look around our surroundings here. Well, this is native woodland. It's oak, beech, hazel, and a lot of holly and the smaller trees, but not very many sycamore, which is nice. I mean, not many people realise that sycamore isn't a fully native tree, but it's everywhere. But yeah, it's absolutely fabulous in here. And I'll let you have a quick look out here around, and you can see this first paddock over here. We're beginning to lose light. I really need to get my food on, actually. But you can see there's an old ancient hedgerow here. And I would guess this here, when it's really wet, looks like it's a water channel. This is camp here. I'm not drinking tonight. I've got a can of Monster I've treated myself to. That might seem a little bit silly, but I'll explain in a minute. But yeah, coming up through here, you can see the ground is just all boulders. I mean, it's not tufts of grass, that's just a granite boulder. But we do have more sunlight coming in over here. Going up through that woodland just eventually becomes a complete tangled mess, a real tight thicket. You would never work your way through that. But if you're out in your garden for the last bits of the sunlight, having a beer, it would be a fantastic end to the day, even though it was grey and raining this morning. The last of the sun beaming through the trees. It's turned into a nice little wild camp this here, better than I thought. And there's camp over there. Yeah, so like I said, I've got a can of Monster on the go. You know, it's a guilty pleasure, that is. But no alcohol, because I did drink a fair bit at a friend's wake a couple days ago. And he was a pretty special guy, taken too early. But yeah, a fellow surfer, somebody I spent a lot of time in the surf with. And 8 o'clock in the morning, we all paddled out. We did a circle, some kind words were said in his memory. And it was just fitting, all his close friends out there in the ocean, to say goodbye. But in any case, it was a complete day with the ceremony, you know, church, crematorium, then back for the wake. And yeah, I did drink into the small hours, and yeah, so basically I'm having a little rest from alcohol. But yeah, you know, sometimes the good get taken too early. Now, I didn't know whether to do the actual wild swim as its own individual thing in its own right, and it would have been enough just to do that. But while I was here, I thought I might as well make it into a wild camp, quite simply because, you know, with life and life pressures and things that happen, you know, I'm finding, probably like a lot of you, I don't get to go out, you know, just on the drop of the hat, spur of the moment. I do have other commitments and things like that, and it's not unusual. I mean, we're all in that boat. Some people are more privileged than others and can do it, but it just came together that if I could like kill two birds with one stone, so hence why I put the two together. And yeah, it's worked out okay. You know, it was a bit of a bugger lugging that wetsuit up out of the gorge or re-entrant valley there, but it's done. But I'm waiting for a cup of tea, and I want to get some food on because I don't want to be doing it in the dark. So, but I do actually feel really, really tired. I feel actually spent. Just clambering. What I filmed there was only really the tip of the iceberg. I did mess about in the water a fair bit, swimming around. But yeah, I feel quite spent actually. So I'm looking forward to some food, and I probably will hit the sack quite early. Well, you can see I've been using the axe that I kind of upgraded. And it's doing the job, and you'll understand why I didn't want to put too much of an edge of a blade on that axe head, because quite simply, as you can see, I use it going into the ground. I really do abuse it. But one gentleman did suggest I use gun blue on the actual metalwork, and that's something I might consider doing, you know, in the winter. Get through the summer, I might polish all that up, take all you know, any residue substances of it, get it clean, and use gun blue on it and see how that turns out. But that was an interesting suggestion that came my way. So tea tonight for me, the bulk of my tea is going to be a pasta sauce and some sweet corn and peppers. So it's pretty basic, you know, but you know, I really do find the basic things are what makes a camping trip. You know, it takes you right back to those basic moments when you were very young and you used to raid your mother's cupboards, or your friend would have raided their mother's, and you just put anything together, like a tin of baked beans with soup, or, you know, some meatballs. It all went into a pot and you ended up with some weird stew concoction, but you know, you were just grateful for it. So yeah, it's just noodles, and I've got a ring pull on the can this time. I don't have to use the hatchet to actually gain access to the products inside. I actually do use the actual the brine to help do everything in with the pasta. It just adds extra flavour. But yeah, get this on the go in a minute. I'm using water, not milk. I haven't brought any real milk this time. Even my coffee's going to be instant 2-in-1 coffee. I don't really like it like that, but it's just necessity today, because obviously I was bringing a wetsuit, a lot more weight. I just wanted to keep the weight down. It's a shit. This actually doesn't look too bad cold. I know you can't eat pasta like this, but I'm getting hungry enough. I'm sure I ain't too far from trying it. So come on, coffee. I want to get this done. All right, not looking too bad. Oh, just spilt some there. Yeah, professional wild camper. I forgot my metal mug, so I'm using my boiling vessel for my coffee. But yeah, I got a 2-in-1 coffee, no real coffee with milk, and it's not the same. And I don't even know if I need to put another one in there. It looks a bit weak. I'll taste it. As a wild camper, or somebody who just spends time outdoors, possibly with a fire, well, definitely with a fire, what I'm about to say, you always end up with one piece of clothing that, you know, an outer garment, like a big thick jumper, a hoodie, or a smock, or a coat, in my case here, which always smells of fires or bonfires. Regardless of how much you wash it, it always has that underlying taint of a woodland fire. And it's always kind of reassuring when you put it on and you just get that like wood smoke smell. And yeah, there's always just one piece of clothing you will have that always retains that, no matter how much you wash it. Now, I did say it's a tangled mess up there, and that is still true if you go direct up. But I've just noticed you can actually follow the old ancient wall and hang a left, and it looks like there's more of this woodland. And that, from here, looks like it'd be really interesting to explore. I obviously don't have the time. I'm running out of light now, and I just want to concentrate on food and, you know, going into the nighttime routine, as I call it. But it's really beautiful here, really peaceful, got that old worldy vibe feel about it, and I really love woodlands that have that. I mean, just look at this granite here, it's absolutely ancient. And like, I'm actually going to be sleeping tonight right next to a wall that was hand built by people hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of years ago. And you know, when you can look at a wall like that and appreciate the sheer age and beauty of it, I mean, every one of those stones was lifted by hand and placed there by somebody. And that's the beauty of, like, letting your mind, you know, not just imagine it, understand that. Somebody was here placing every one of those stones. And look how it bends, it flows with the natural landscape. I've just given myself more headroom. I've done a very quick upgrade to my shelter. I'll quickly show you how I've achieved it. Yet again, with everything with me, it doesn't look pretty, but it's functional, and the idea can be translated or transferred to other setups, but I'll quickly show you. All I've done is use the basher's outside loop there, and I'm running a ridge line to a Y stick, which is pushed into the ground, and then I've got a triangle from the ridge line anchoring it to the ground. All that's doing is just pulling it up and pushing it out, just to give me a little bit more headroom. You know, it's nothing technical, it's just I was in there just testing it out, and I decided I wanted a little bit more room. And it's always good to do that before you get into a pitch black situation where you're doing it in the dark. But I think I'm getting ready to hit the sack in a moment. So I don't think I'm going to do my usual like ramble into the night. I'm going to get this final cup of coffee on the go, finish up my monster, and basically go to sleep. Like I said, I feel absolutely thrashed. Like I was actually, like I said, swimming around in that water a lot more than you saw on camera. You know, thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's really taken it out of me. Just a quick one. I always run 3 head torches. I got one I always have secured in camp somewhere. I have one on me at all times, and I have one in the Bergen. I always carry 3. The one in the Bergen is the backup, obviously. The one in the basher or in the camp is the security one, as in it's either on to provide an ambient light and let me know if I have to go for a pee where my camp is, or basically just to give that security feeling. And the one on me quite often isn't even on if there's enough moonlight, but you know, you should always have one with you as your go-to you know, lighting system. But yeah, that's how I usually run. You know, I've been taking a lantern with me recently and I've been enjoying it, but for this type of camp, you know, where I've had to hike in. I know a lot of my intros show me hiking in, but that's quite simply because I have to. Quite often I'll be dropped off at a trailhead and then I've got to, it's not a case I can just drive in or just, you know, park up, open the car door, walk 2 feet, go in, do my bits and bobs, and then come home. Yeah, so basically the intros of me hiking in are quite simply just to tell the story, the picture that I am actually hiking into the location. But yeah, I'm going to wind the camp down here, early for me, but I'm going to wind it down. I'm going to hit the sack. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Well, morning guys, it's about 5:30 and it was really warm last night. You know, it allayed my fears being this high up, but yeah, really warm. But we've had a cloud of midges just come in. Like as soon as I got up, bang, they were there. I've got the fire going and I've never been so glad to have a smoky fire. It got rid of 95% of them. You still got the hardened ones, you know, the ones that are steadfast in their approach. They're not going to go anywhere fast. But it is gradually, you know, getting rid of them. But like I said, we've got a mist and fog bank come down. I'm just really kind of just getting up, getting a coffee on, getting some food. I didn't sleep too bad last night. It was one of the best nights I've had wild camping, actually. Perhaps it was because, you know, I was doing all that physical work, lugging the wet suit around up over the hillside there. And, you know, the swimming. But, yeah, it really was a nice night. And I didn't have to get up and go for a pee. And to be honest with you, when you do drink alcohol, you do find you got to go for a pee once or twice during the night. So there is a plus. Believe it or not, people, there is a plus to not drinking alcohol. It's nice to sit there and chill out and have that, you know, nice feel-good moment with a nice can of cider or what have you, or whatever your tipple is. But it is nice, actually, you know, and I would say that every now and again, just go alcohol free and just do what I did, experience the fact you don't have to get up in the night for a pee. But yeah, that was a great night's sleep, actually. But if I take you out here, this woodland though, there was a lot of movement during the night, and it wasn't big animals because you can tell by the movement over the ground. I don't think it was a fox, possibly a badger, something like that. If it was a fox, it would have come a bit closer to investigate, you know, because I did leave a few cans of, or a can of food with all my rubbish in, so it didn't even try to get at that. I should have picked it up. I didn't. If it was a fox, it would have definitely investigated that. But no, this woodland, you can see that fog and mist bank. It's coming quite thick and heavy, but it hasn't brought any like cold dampness with it. It's still quite humid. And the woodland further up the hillside there, I'm almost tempted to go and investigate up there, but I do have to get out, and I've got a fair hike back down to my pickup point in the trailhead. But let's get some coffee on the go. Let's get this day going, and I'm going to sit and enjoy this woodland coming to life and watch this mist and fog burn off. Yeah, this has been a good wild camp. Oh, that has really hit the mark. And yeah, the feeling of a coffee when you need a coffee, that's one of those feelings that provides instant gratification, along with chocolate. If I didn't bring no chocolate, if I'd had a chocolate digestive just to dunk in my coffee, you know, the world would be 100% okay. If we come up here, something that's interesting, you can find some animal tracks or a route animals have been using. And if you come out here, look into this field, you can see the actual track. It's not just grass pushed down, it's a solid track where over years of use it's actually created a shallow V in the actual topsoil. They've come up to the hedge, come over here, drop down, and then you can actually follow their track all the way along here, and you can see it wind its way through this small slither of woodland. And if you follow it, it goes out through that other V in the hedge or rock wall, stone wall, and then out into the next piece of open ground. Totally fascinating. But this here would have been passed down through, you know, the generations, and they've just continued walking this path. Well, I'm down there. You might just be able to see the smoke pretty much centre of the screen. Now, I'm not going to investigate because I've got a live fire, so I'm not going to wander away from it. But as I said, that just gradually becomes a tangled mess. Over there looks potential wild camping spots. But this is the left-hand side which I was talking about here. And if you move just around the corner, it does look like if you continued along there, there would be other options there. Absolutely beautiful and enchanting. It really has an old world vibe here. Well then guys, that was a fantastic wild camp and wild swim. I got both things ticked off the list that I wanted to do on this side of the tour and on this side of the moor. So yeah, I'm doubly pleased. Was it worth bringing the wetsuit and all that extra weight? Well, yes, it's worked out. I mean, I've got to lug it out and go uphill carrying it all in a moment. But, you know, you have to put some effort in if you want the reward. But I'd just like to remind you guys, stay safe, and you know, I hope to catch you guys out on the trail. This is Andy from Hidden Valley Footpaths. Take care till next time. See you again.